All right, Maurice, this is symbolic. What's the cat doing? Sorry, we have a cat drama going on over here. You know you're on the internet. I gotta start this video over. No, I'll leave the video the way it is. Hey, you're on the internet, so shape up. Maurice, how you doing? It's Nick. This is in response to your video call. We're on our way. I think that's great, man. I knew you would appreciate that. I knew you'd relate to that video Violet Kitty made called Sheeps and Goats, because it's just what you've been talking about. That's why I forwarded it to you. It's a beautiful passage that she read. And it's clear to me listening to the passage. The passage is about kindness. It's about helping people, visiting people in hospitals, bringing people food when they're hungry. And one of the funny things is one of the people who left a comment on that video said, "Well, this story makes sense if the what did he say? This story makes sense if the sheep are the producers and the goats are the consumers." And then he mentioned socialism. So I just left him a message saying, I think it's about kindness. I don't think it was a lesson in dialectic materialism. But I thought you'd find that. I believe heartily in building a foundation of respect. I mean, it's just among people always. There's got to be respect, man. It's the foundation of all communication. It's the foundation of pluralism, diversity, understanding, all that. And if you had kindness in there, see, kindness is the key. And when I joined YouTube back in March, so about 9 months ago now, I hadn't thought of entering into any kind of religious dialogues with people or arguments. I discovered it. I started looking up things on mathematics and topics and subjects I'm interested in, and then I stumbled, of course, on the great religious debates. Some are debates and some are just arguments. On YouTube, it's pretty easy to get pulled into them. And I too was struck by the animosity, the level of animosity that goes on. I think the anonymity of YouTube makes people lose their civility. They feel protected because they've got sort of an anonymous username, and I mean, you really wonder about people as soon as they've got 5 degrees of anonymity. They start showing an unkind side of themselves. So I did a video called "The Death of Civility" over just the rudeness that's on YouTube. 2 talents. Yeah, I have about 2 talents. I'm trying to develop more talents, but had to throw that pun in there. A lot of the arguments and stuff I've mentioned real quickly in another video that there's a cyclical, it's like a cycle. It's kind of like the cycle of violence in a way. It doesn't matter who started conflict. If it keeps going around and around and around, at some point it becomes irrelevant who started it. What's important is to break the cycle of violence, or to break the cycle of conflict or disrespect in this manner. You got to apologize. Forgive my voice. I've got a cold. But even in my best of days, Maurice, my voice is not going to sound as good as yours, man. You have a perfect broadcasting voice. It's just beautiful, man. It's great, So just having a cold puts it in high relief. High relief, yeah. So I can't even really hear what I'm saying. What was I going to tell you, man? Yeah, the blog idea is a great idea, and the Respect Builders idea, I think, is just a great idea, And I look forward to talking about more details as to how you envision going forward with your I don't want to use the word agenda. What's a better word? But your mission on this, or your plan on this thing. See where you envision it going and stuff like that. Sounds like you've got a lot of really good ideas. Hey, I agree with you on. Hey, by the way, people who stop in and comment, on videos, they come from all over. They stumble across videos, so everybody who comments on my videos is not necessarily my, friend. They comment, and I remember part of the comment you're talking about. You know, I don't think anybody expects Christians to, you know, keep their belief at home. You know, I think your point's right that, you know, when you present somebody with a belief, and they say basically they're not interested, or they have some other belief, you know, it's best just for all of us just to leave that alone. I was thinking that the interesting thing about the people who do engage in either debates or arguments over religion on YouTube, theists and atheists and whomever, one thing they share in common is they're serious about whatever it is they believe in or don't believe in. There's a seriousness wherever they're finding meaning and truth. They're serious about that, and they share that in common. You know, I don't think people really realize it because they're too busy arguing, but they do. They are, in a sense, defending their own, where they find their own meaning and when their own or their own value, and that's something that they really share in common. You know, otherwise they wouldn't bother. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't even bother. They'd say, "Oh, I'm not going to watch this. This is boring to me." Because to many people, these kind of things are just very boring. You know, why would they bother with that when they can just simply entertain themselves? You know. Oh, the truth. I think truth is the core thing, and other meanings too. But I keep coming back to truth. I know that this has something to do with it. Various of the religious groups, the Christians, you know, the Christians and Muslims, any of the groups that actually have a belief that they must go out and, you know, spread the word, it puts you guys in a really tough position. I mean, because you do, I mean, the system. Not that it's the system, but I don't want to make this sound too, you know, distant or too over intellectualized. But and I don't want to say doctrine, but the creed, the belief, or the assignment or mission to actually go out and spread the word puts you in a difficult position, because you will naturally. You have to do that. If you believe that you must do that, you must do that in all good faith. You know, you know, in a sense, you have no choice in that regard. And so then you're going to, of course, come into the. Well, the whole idea is to spread the faith to people who don't have the faith. So some of those will want it or not want it or think they don't or whatever. But it forces you into position. The atheist position, there's nothing that says that they have to actually go out and spread atheism or communicate atheism. So they're not placed in that similar dilemma, or that similar challenge just does not exist. You know, I was thinking about atheism today. I was thinking of some of the definitions of atheism. It's a very broad word, you know, and you may have seen some of the videos on the difference between strong atheists who believe that God does not exist or assert that God does not exist, and weak atheists who neither do not assert that God does not exist, but do not assert that God does exist, and some definitions of atheism as having a lack of belief. I was thinking today about physical matter. I was thinking about rocks, and I was thinking, well, you know, the rock doesn't have a belief either. Is the rock atheist? Is a table atheist because it doesn't have a belief in God? So the line I was thinking of is that even in order to have a lack of belief in the sense of being an atheist, you have to have the capacity for believing in something, you know. Otherwise, inert matter would be atheistic. So, just an interesting idea. I think that's the story, Maurice. Yeah, get in touch with me, man. I'm looking forward to talking to you. Church and state. Yeah, that's, you know, you may have seen a video I did recently that, you know, certain core tenets of religion, certain fundamentals are not to be compromised, and yet politics is the art of compromise and negotiation. So in a sense, I think when a religious group tries to obtain power, political power, and to wield political power, they find themselves risking the purity, too strong a word, risking the purity of their religion, you know. But I don't have time. I've only got a few seconds left, so I can't really develop that thought. But I think it's kind of interesting. I haven't thought of the Catholics as a group who are trying to wield political power in the country. Or I've always thought of it as the evangelicals. as the ones in the United States. I got to go. I'm out of time. Love you, buddy. Bye-bye.